And welcome to Racing, Pacing, Chasing. It is the Pacing segment now, Season 2, Episode 35. I'm Aaron Bain, joined by Rocky Butterworth. Welcome, mate.
Hello, mate. How are you?
We're back here. It's back to the usual format this week. We had a panel on last week, and tell you what, didn't we? Get some views there.
Fantastic.
Just on 4,500 between the two little shows we put together. The panel with the 2-year-old and 3-year-old racing in the state, that was well received. We had some good feedback. Hopefully we can get some momentum behind that. I'll touch on that a little bit later. There's a race that's caught my eye on Saturday night. I'm
righto.
But,
you happy about it?
No. But anyway, I'm happy it's gone ahead, but this is my argument. And also the interview with Lisa Justice, great supporter that's just come on board, ran her team of all racing, pacing and chasing shows. And great to have her on board, and got just on 1,600 views there, mate.
It was fantastic. And I spoke to Lisa on the way in, and she said if we, put a good package together next time when we get her on, which will be a fortnight, Rambit may come on as a major sponsor for us next year, which will be fantastic. So
great to have a chat to Lisa, and we look forward to part 2 of that coming next week as well. So for those that didn't get a chance to watch it, jump back on the Piranha Media page, and it'll be good to see her on in a couple of weeks as well. But also, of course, Billy Threadgold and his family at Air Diffusion Agencies. We thank them for their sponsorship. Straight off the bat, Platinum Program Partner, doing a great job there. The Gawler Harness Racing Club and also the Kapunda Harness Racing Club. We do have Stephen Norman, a pre-recorder from last week, to put into the show tonight as well. So we caught up with him last week to touch on Major Secret and standing at stud this year. So it was good to have a chat to him and how he sees the breeding industry down, this year and beyond. There's plenty of positivity.
Well, we've headed out that way.
Yeah, we've headed there. So we've got some good things to come. Actually, got news today that she did her first for early positive test, 16 days. So
yourself?
That was good. Moving on. Another. Anyway, we must also thank the other shows that continue to make Piranha Media very strong. And if you haven't seen them, near on just over 9,000 views for the week, including when you include Baz's Curtain Call, new show there, and Before the Bounce as well. So it's happening on Piranha Media, right?
It is, and it's a self-pat on the back for it, if you like, but we've only got 4 shows to go, and we definitely will be back next year for a 3rd season.
Yeah.
Bigger and better. And if we could get to 15,000 views a week for our shows, you're talking, 600,000 views per year that sponsors are getting for anything from $500 to 10 grand. So to us it's so cheap, and we work out packages. So if anyone's thinking about wanting to sponsor with us, you know how much fun we have, and we certainly promote our all of our sponsors as much as we can, either verbally or by logos. So give us a call, 0410 939 663, or you can email me at rocky@piranhamedialive.com.au.
Certainly, and that's the number you want to call for the next segment if you don't think something's right. And that segment is the one that we all love, and that is rumour or humour. Now, Rocky, I must apologise. I'll take blame straight off the bat. I've seen it in your notes. You wanted to blame me for spoiling your fun last week. I know you were sitting on a couple of beauties, and with everything, with the change of format, I threw on you late. You just never got the opportunity to spill the beans, mate. But this week, I'm going to take the shackles off, and I'm going to say, Rocky, the next 2 or 3 minutes is yours.
Righto, mate. Well, these are rumours, and maybe they'll turn into fact. I don't know, but everyone now knows that there was 3 resignations from SAHRC, mainly to do with they refused to sign the affidavit to say that SAHRC is not trading insolvently, and 1 or 2 other things that they didn't agree with. I think they were probably on both teams as well, the club and the HRSA. So I've got a bit conflicting for them, so they are out. They need to get 1 more now for a quorum for the AGM, which should happen this week, but obviously it won't.
It's got to happen by the end of October, doesn't it?
Yeah, so I don't think that's going to happen. My contact with the PCU says that they will get their money by as early as this Friday.
Which Friday?
This Friday, yeah. And the White Knight from a couple of years ago, who very kindly gave SAHRC some breathing space, he'll be paid out as well. This is all through Kevin Seymour in Queensland, the billionaire builder, developer, Westpac. So he's come in and given them $3.5 million, which is fantastic. They did go back and ask for another 500,000 and got a polite no in about 2.5 seconds. But
We'll say no.
but what they have done now, they've consolidated that. And as far as I'm concerned, that's a good thing, but it doesn't really mean a whole lot because now there's a loan in place with Kevin Seymour, who didn't become a billionaire because he's silly. I'm sure his loan is now watertight and it'll be serviced monthly. And I know a lot of people out there are saying, mate, that if they don't meet it, his plan is to come in and develop, 5,000 houses, whatever, out there. Well, I can tell you, he won't be developing, mate. He's 80. You reckon and he's never built a house here in his life. So he's not coming to South Australia at the age of 80 to start building another 3, 4, 5,000 homes or whatever it might be. So, but what he does want to do, where to me it gets interesting, with the mate of mine who used to play footy at Hawthorn that's now working for QRC, so nothing to do with the Trots. But they do hear things from time to time, and he rang me today and said a few things about what's going on down there. And I think Kevin Seymour, who was a out-and-out harness racing fan, mate, he's poured millions and millions into harness racing around Australia, except here where he gave us 50,000 a few years ago. And we didn't do a very good job with that 50 grand. It all went over to Victoria.
$486 study.
Yeah, that's right. You get that, mate, did you? But I think what will happen if SAHRC, which are volunteers and no one can understand why they're in charge of such a big portfolio of land and running a big business like Globe Derby, if they start missing those, I think there's a clause, according to my mate, that there's he can take over the running of SAHRC, which to me he'd immediately put in probably a racing manager, I would have thought, and then they'd start dealing pretty heavily with HRSA, I think, to make sure that they got the right amount of money for every meeting. He would run it as professionally as any business in Australia to make sure that Globe Derby doesn't disappear. Now, how that works with the battle with HRSA, I wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of a billionaire chasing me in court. So it's going to turn out pretty interesting, but I think it will turn out the best for South Australian racing.
Is this the saviour?
Well, I didn't think it was when I first saw the story, because I thought, hello, Kevin Seymour might subcontract out to another builder down here, but the rumour is that he has no intention of developing any land. He wants the Trots to go ahead at South Australia. He's alarmed that there's been everyone talking about that it may not continue at Globe, which to me is a great thing. But if you can't get on with HRSA, then the fight still keeps going. But as I said, one's got a bazooka and the other one's got a pistol. So, so where it ends up, mate, I don't know. But that's my rumour / fact / a couple of rumours in there that may not come to fruition. But all I can say is, a great man. He calls a spade, and if they're not careful, he will take over.
I know one thing's for sure.
What's that, mate?
Kevin Seymour will be going to sleep nicely at night.
Yep. No doubt.
What about the other rumour, right?
No, I'm saving that one.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm saving that one. I've got one more. This is interesting. I was told today that SAHRC have got plans for redeveloping the track with a nice cambered turn.
It's been going on for 6 weeks, isn't it?
Yeah, and also to resurface the existing track. They've got quotes and they're going to hand them to HRSA and say, how much are you going to tip in? Here's the quotes. You said you would either match it or at least help with this. So that's going to be an interesting little conversation that will happen there.
So just when you say hand it to them, how do they hand? What address do they deliver the mail to? Where do they go to drop the letter of all the quotes?
Well, I think there'll be a meeting at a cafe at this stage, mate, until they
PO box.
So that will be interesting to see what happens there, because they want their money, and HRSA have always said, well, we're happy to pay you the money, which they think is around 180,000, not 300.
But it has to go to the track.
But it's got to go to the track. Well, it is, but SAHRC have gone out of their way to find their own quotes, their own contractor to do this, which will be interesting. They've also had a look at the track out the back, which there's been a few horses starting to get sore and not break down, but certainly can't race for a week or two. And they're going to shut that down rather than try and fix it and put a training track inside the main track.
Okay.
So
you told me you're leaving a rumour for next week. What do you got next week?
I've got a good one for next week, mate, but I've got to confirm a few things, because one thing I don't want to do is come on and just talk shite.
I'll give you 3 minutes. You've taken 13.
There's probably people that do say I talk shite, but
you haven't been far wrong.
I don't come on with a rumour until I've got enough facts to
I'm
say.
getting told by our producer 11 minutes, mate. You've went
11 minutes.
There you go.
Me.
Yeah. People are sick of hearing from you.
You have taught me how to talk. He's been a very quiet fellow once. So that's it. That's all, mate.
I want to set you one challenge though next week.
Right.
You've got another rumour to break. I want you to find out the residential address of the new Harness Racing SA office for this show next week.
I'll do that.
All right?
Yep.
Can you, please?
Yep.
All right?
Yep.
I just haven't seen it, that's all.
Okay. No, I'll find it.
Thank you. Anyway, time now for Drive of the Week. We've had rumour of humour, enough nonsense. Time to get serious. Drive of the Week, thanks to Brent Rooney and his team at Castle Tavern, Edwardstown. He's kindly donated a $50 bottle shop voucher. And no, I haven't pocketed the cartons myself. I've got.
They still sitting in the back of the.
No, they're not. They're in the carport, but I've actually got to change Darren's over. You got him a carton of Cooper's Pale Ale. No offence to the tavern, but Darren drinks Trout and Lager. So Darren, I'm looking out for you. I'm just going to change it over this week. I'll have to find.
You paying the short?
Yeah, I will. But Darren drinks Crown. It was his choice, so we'll have to get him a carton of Crown. We'll get it to you the next week, Darren. For the week before, we didn't have a drive of the week last week.
Let's face it, mate. It was an okay drive. It was probably worth a carton of
Carton of Crown. You've on the Cooper's Pale Ale, thanks to Brent Rooney, but no, we love his support. Now. This is, we've only had 3 editions of the Drive of the Week, and a man's won 2 of them. There is full credit to Lance Holborn, because this is a nice filly, and
beautiful.
The state's best 2-year-old currently, because it's the writing's on the board.
Yep.
But I don't know if it wins its last 2 without Rhino Hurricane, the sulky.
I'd say it loses both.
No, it doesn't lose, like it just gets beat.
Yeah.
But on Saturday night, let's roll the vision. He's well back. He's 3 wide to leaders back inside the last 600.
Yep.
Ryan, last 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, we give you 11 out of 10. I texted him straight after the race. I think he was crossing the line. I said 12 out of 10. There's Drive of the Week again.
Yeah.
It was simply outstanding. Let's take a look at the vision now and we'll touch on it a little more. Yep. 9, 12 out of 10.
Well done.
Second placing, off the track, better mine than yours, and Roy Hurrick takes the inside with Dancing Finn going for a sprint lane run. Soho Bob in front, 28.9 the third quarter. Dancing Finn's about to go for the sprint lane. Artillery's trying to lift, better mine than yours on the outside. Here comes Dancing Finn. Soho.
Now I know we're pumping his tyres up, but it's a cracker, and that Lance Holden must have sat back and gone, I'm very lucky to have him on Dancing Finn. And if he keeps driving like that, it's going to be very hard to beat all through the Southern Cross. And I think I've got to come up against it with our filly next week. Yeah. I said, so it's going to be hard just to beat Ryan, let alone Dancing Finn.
Yeah, that's right. No, and it goes back again, the 2-year-old races, it's draw, and now he's chucked this in because the 2 times that Dancing Finn's been in it, he's won the race. Now, the horse is very, very good, and we're not saying that it would have definitely lost, but gee whiz.
So
the downside is made it undrink, but we're sure making him look handsome for his wife.
I'll tell you what, it's great, isn't it?
So what do you want this week?
No, it's Moscato, mate. Moscato, please. So.
I think that's the thing out your way, isn't it, Moscato?
Yeah, that's a bottle of Moscato water.
Very good.
Ryan, that's
well
2
done,
out of
Ryan.
3. If you win the next one, mate, Rocky and I are keeping the carton because we can't keep you with 2, mate. So anyway, we'll moving on. Time for Leroy. Now, Leroy, you were MIA last week, missing in action. Where was he?
You axed the segment.
I was hoping to act rumour or humour.
No, you axed the whole segment. He said he rang you and you hung up in about 3 seconds, said, "Nah, not required this week, Leroy, see you later," and hung up on him.
Well, I had Lisa, not Leroy, this last one.
That's fine. He hasn't got the brace and
back.
bits, but he's on a 6-month holiday from work after filling the pockets up. But what he has found,
What?
he's finding that the wife at home is starting to make him do a few chores around the house. So
Yeah, right.
he said at night time, the only way he can get out, he's started a card game with a few mates. But he's been getting home later and later and later, and she's had the rolling pin out, and she's whacked him on the head a couple of times. And he said, if you get home late one more time,
You're out.
you're in big trouble. So he got home late the very next night.
No.
Yeah, he did. 24 hours later, he gets home again.
So he plays nightly.
Yeah, and he's telling me on the phone, so I said, how the hell did you work that out? And he said, well, I just got home and said I lost her in a card game.
Lost it.
Lost his wife playing cards. Who does that?
Leroy.
And I said, how the hell did you do that? And he said, wasn't easy, Rock. I had to fold on a royal flush.
Well, she's gone.
She's gone.
She's out.
Yep.
Is there any way of getting her back?
He would have got the pot, and he's caved in on a royal flush.
He doesn't need the money though, Leroy.
No, but he's
What's he got?
He's tipped one because you tipped him pebbles on the beach Monday. He said just have a little bit on, and he got the money there. So he rang me and said he's had a good look at Globe Derby, and that's too hard. And he needs to find
Just on that.
yes,
Some cracking races.
beautiful races coming up on Saturday night.
Leroy, who's picked in race 3, and I'll throw to you in a minute because, anyway, sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, no, that's all right. So he hasn't gone to Globe, too hard. And he's admitted that.
Right.
He's gone race 5 Albion Park.
I got one in there.
Yeah, he's tipped Ideal World. He said,
No.
I've got it written here. He said the trainer said it can't lose. Are you just tipping to everyone now?
No.
Tipping to the lizard.
Leroy. When I rang you and gave you the tip on Pebbles, mate, you weren't.
Mind you were brave tipping that.
Had to do it tough, didn't you?
Good win. So anyway, that's what he's doing, mate. He's gone for yours.
Okay.
All right. So
Leroy.
if you follow Leroy, he's going pretty good. Make sure you back Ideal World at Albion Park on Saturday night.
He's been beaten at his last 2 in a
Yeah.
photo. He doesn't need Leroy weighing him down.
Yeah. No, it's all been a ruse, he reckons.
Yeah.
That's what you told him.
Yeah, right. Reese, find the top. Right, horse to follow, and we talk Saturday night. It's a cracking
Yep.
program.
Yep.
Thanks for engaging in the show because everyone likes this segment where they sort of put a little bit of a moulding together.
Yeah.
All right, reading your notes there, Rocker, you've tipped one in race 3. I don't know how because there's 7 winning chances.
I love the race, mate. It's a big field, and we made cases for 6, 7 that could probably finish in the placings,
Yeah.
but a couple of them probably can't win, but they can certainly figure. But having said that, I think Simon was a terrific run Monday, was it? Sat outside the leader and only just got beaten and beat the rest by plenty. Won't be 3 wide or without cover this week. It'll get a good run through behind Bezer, who comes out pretty quick. And I can see Simon being 1 out, 2 back maybe.
Yeah.
And he'll be odds that are worthwhile having
man
it.
aboard.
Yep.
Very cool, calm.
He is.
Billinger.
Mark Billinger on board. So I've gone Simon. I'd say back him for the place in your multi. Might be around the $2, bit more for the place. Into race 5, number 3, and that's another great race. There,
Small but good.
yeah, and I'm just thinking that Joe's a character has got the draw to win the race for Danny, and Wayne will have to settle for 2nd or 3rd with Eme Macca, who's very close to winning a race. He'll get the right draw and he'll win one soon. And sorry to Cavs, but I think Soho Bob will find the fence and win the 2-year-old. But
What race is that?
race 8.
5 horse race.
Yeah, what's going on there, mate?
For what? 499. That's okay.
$5,000. Yeah.
Full credit to HRSA for running it. But this has been my argument for weeks, right?
Yeah, and it'll be.
Run the 2-year-olds with 4 or 5 and love it.
Yep.
But this is the start of the end if we're not careful.
Well,
Not running with 5, seeing those horses go around for 499. Now next week, yep, we've got the St Ledger for 8,000 and there's a fillies race for 7. They'll have good
Yep.
turnouts. There's a maiden race where people are trying to pick up their bonus on Monday, which will have a full field. Put the money in to the young horses.
Well, there was
It
two.
supports our show last week.
Yeah, there was a couple of good races on Monday, and I don't know. We'll keep banging on about it that there is going to be 2 grades, isn't there? There's probably 10 that are going to be racing for that. Well, hopefully.
There's 4 nice horses, and there's 5.
Yeah.
There's 5 last start winner, but you've got Black Top Rock returning from a spell.
He's nice.
You've got Better Mind Than Yours, the quickest. It went 1:57.8, I think, a couple of weeks ago. Soho Bob and Artillery. Someone will run 4th in that and take home
300
more than you and I will do on the punt on Saturday night.
Yeah. No, you're right. So hopefully,
please, they're running it.
yeah, I am too, because they could have axed it, and it'll be a good
7,000 or 8,000 every Saturday night.
Yep.
Anyway.
Good work, mate.
Anyway, that's a close for another week. Been
Yep.
plenty to cover. I was hoping to make it. We've also, it's not a close. We should just go before we cut to Stephen Norman.
Yep.
We've got that interview to drop in from last week. So Stephen,
Yep.
and we'll take a look at that.
Make sure
now.
you hang around for the whole show.
We'll take a look at that and we'll come back with a close. And welcome back to Racing, Pacing, Chasing. We've got a special guest tonight, Stephen Norman, joining us to talk about Major Secret, standing at Allenby Lodge this season. Welcome, Stephen.
Thank you, Aaron.
Yeah, good to get you on and just discuss all things breeding. We're in the heart of breeding season now, and you stand Major Secret at Kapunda at your farm.
Yes.
And he certainly had a good season last year, serving 31, if I'm for exactly.
Not quite last season, but this coming season,
30th
yes,
season.
yes. It's a bit odd, really, to have a stallion serving his 3rd season, serving more mares than he has in his first 2. So it's good. It's the building of the breeding in South Australia.
So tell us quickly, why should people look to Major Secret when choosing a stallion for this season?
Taking aside the fact that he's local, because I look at things in a bigger picture manner, but this horse is bigger picture. He's a sort of horse, I've said to a lot of people, that we should be breeding now. The type of horse that we should be breeding is, I have him as 16 hands, but he's probably 16-1. Big, strong, strapping horse that went brilliant as a 2-year-old. He ran 2nd in the Southern Cross final at his 2nd start, right through to winning the Tasmanian Cup at his 3rd last start, I think. But that's all by and by now. We know what he is. He won a New South Wales Derby against one of the best fields ever assembled. Now it's up to the blood, and he's already got that behind him. The Larrakia Lady family that the Gleasons have been a part of for a long time is, to my mind, and it's easy for me to say, but I think it can be backed by statistics, that it's certainly in the top 3 consistently producing families in Australia, in the stud book.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's certainly a cue for SA harness racing to have him here standing this. Take us back to when you went out to, you set out after to acquire him. Were you looking for a stallion, or you just come up? What made you go and find Major Secret?
Well, we actually had been looking, and for easy 2.5 to 3 years prior to actually acquiring him, I'd been offered a lot of stallions, and I was determined that I'm not going to get one simply for the sake of having one. This horse, whatever I got, whether it's American bred or Australian bred, had to be something that I felt was going to contribute to the blood here in South Australia, the breeding industry in South Australia. And I'd knocked back a lot of horses, and I've knocked back more since. I don't think anyone in New South Wales is going to see it, but I was offered Auckland Reactor back a couple of months ago and said no. But prior to that, leading up to Major Secret, I got a call from Peter Wharton, the journalist and a little bit of a horse trader in Victoria. He mentioned the horse. I was actually on a Friday evening and I was going out. I came back, I started researching him the next day. I already heard of the horse and knew he was pretty smart, but I actually didn't know he was from that family. When I delved into the statistics, he's had just over 50 starts and won nearly $500,000, so it's nearly $10,000 a start on average. And all that racing performance, the blood, that New South Wales Derby thing was nearly a clincher. But I'd actually never seen him in the flesh. I actually stalked him on Facebook and found the picture.
Stalking a horse.
Yeah, I actually stalked a horse. That's how hardcore I am. And I saw a picture of him, and he's one of the most magnificent animals I'd seen. So that was it. We were in. We made what it was and probably still is a bold decision to buy him rather than lease him. I wanted him in South Australia, owned in South Australia. I didn't want him to go anywhere. And so a couple of people did question my sanity in buying a stallion to stand in South Australia. And it wasn't an insignificant sum, but nonetheless, I was very, very keen to have him here and stay in South Australia. So we offloaded the cash and actually bought him. So that's how we sort of came about to first of all, to find out about him and then subsequently to acquire him. And
it does take your business to that next level, having that stallion on site, and you get more mares as a result that have got to reside at your property to get served, and it's a good thing for you. So it's hand in hand, it works well.
Absolutely. Well, to give an example, we were just the season prior to having Major Secret come onto the property, we were serving, I think nearly 40 mares by Seaman Transport. That balance has swung. Now we're serving a hell of a lot more mares to Major Secret than we are by Seaman Transport. So some of those people who would have bred to interstate stallions are now just making the decision to breed Major Secret.
Saves a few trips to the Adelaide Airport.
My goodness, yes. Yeah, saves a bit of fuel, a bit of time, a bit of seaside trip because the wife wants to take a swing past the coast and all that sort of caper. So the efficiencies, aside from any other benefits, the efficiencies of having a stallion standing on your property in South Australia, and a stallion of that quality. As I mentioned, I knock back a lot of horses, a lot of stallions that were offered to us, but the ability to have him is by Art Major. Art Major's 22, I think now, been one of the best size ever in the world, and part of that big three with Mach 3 and Better's Delight. And we've got one of his very best sons here in South Australia. The benefits to us as a breeding establishment and the benefits to the state, I think, are clear.
In closing, and before we do, the future for Allenby Lodge and Major Secret.
We're in boots and all. So I want to see him through. I would, even if I was to be offered another stallion, and I mentioned Auckland Reactor, I probably still wouldn't take him because I don't want to dilute or cannibalise our broodmare pool. It's still quite small at this stage. But the build is there. We're seeing it. I'm getting calls all the time. I'm getting repeat business. People who've bred in the first season. There's a number of those who are actually breeding now in the third season because they of their foal. We've got good reports from the very first one I've heard of being broken in, and has broken in brilliantly for Roger Campbell. So we are in boots and all. Look, down the track, if it looks like, for whatever reason, and I've seen it before, we've all seen it, just doesn't work out. I don't think that's going to happen. But if it doesn't, we'll get another stallion.
Yeah.
Yep. But I believe, I have absolute faith in this horse.
Absolutely love your passion for racing in South Australia and also the breeding industry. He stands for
$1,500. Talk to me.
Yeah, no, we'll talk to you. And you actually come out and showed your further support and put a bonus on the 2-year-old winners.
We did. That was, and I actually haven't promoted it so much yet this season. The winter's actually been given us a bit of a slow start to this season. But for those bred last season, any of those which are now dropping this season, who wins as a 2-year-old, every one of them, not for every win, but for their first win, $1,000 cash, no questions asked. I don't care if it's for a bag of chaff at Broken Hill or whether it's a feature race. As soon as they win their first race, $1,000 from Allenby Lodge stud.
That is,
and we'll continue that for this season.
That is absolutely excellent support. When you think the Southern Cross bonus is $4,000, you're increasing that. You want to breed to us, we'll make it $5,000 by our $1,000 contribution. Does the breeding season extending, the season going to calendar year, help extend the breeding season?
I believe it will. Maybe not so much for this season, but as people get used to the idea that we're still breeding in spring and summer, but we don't turn of age until 1st of January now, that it's no longer probably going to be a sin to have a January foal. As it used to be, you were so far behind your peers if you had a January foal. Probably not so much of a sin now, but it's. I think yes, it will for mares that come off the track. Maybe that you've given them that preparation through spring, the weather's warming up, but you realise, you know what, she's not going to make it. You've still got a chance to breed them now. And of course, as we know, it gives those 2-year-olds a bit longer to mature.
Yeah. And you got me on the hook this year. I wasn't going to breed any, and you got my mare. So
yes,
I'm actually looking forward to partnering there with an exciting announcement we've got from Aaron Bain Racing in the coming weeks. So that mare that we've sent there, Gracious Grin, she's the mother of Pebbles on the Beach. She was her first start 2-year-old winner. She's had 2 foals for 2 winners, and the idea there is we're going to try and get some new people into the sport in way of breeding as well. Once we hear of a first, a positive test, yes. Hopefully in the coming weeks we can announce that. But I think it's working with people like yourself and our database of people and the social media network as well, and getting it out there that the future of SA harness racing is bright. There is future there.
Absolutely,
we can continue to grow it, and there gives hope to get other people and new people involved in the sport at a very minimal cost.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. Thanks for joining us tonight, Stephen. It's been a pleasure, as always, to get you on, and no doubt we'll get you back on in coming months again to talk about how the stud season went for Major Secret, and talk about all the foals starting to hit the ground, which we're looking forward to. We might get a few photos up as well next time. So thanks for joining us, and all the best.
Thank you, Aaron. Yeah. Cheers.
Good to catch up with Stephen Norman there last week, Rock. We must close now. It's been a lengthy show. I sort of budgeted in for you to have 3 or 4 minutes. You took 11. So apologies there, guys, but I think that's actually what you like listening to, Rocky, rumour of humour. But that's Pacing done for another week. Shout out to our viewers.
I just want to butt in there, sorry, mate, because we've had a death in the harness racing world with Murray Padden, who I'm sure you remember the name. He would have raced against your dad and all that crowd. Unfortunately, he passed away last week. He was a semaphore man and had a great partnership. His wife, Lona, trained most of them, and Murray drove them. He was based down at Semaphore, which sort of on the end of the causeway and Military Road. There was just such a big horse population in there, mate, in the 60s and 70s before West Lakes became West Lakes. It was just swampy and whatever. But I was talking to Jack Bashar about it, and he said in the 60s there was Colin Hayes down there with 60 or 70 horses. Lenny Smith had 25 down the road. I mean, they were thoroughbreds. Yeah. Then you had Albie Holberton with his 30. Jack had 15. A guy called Jack Woolett had 25. He said there was about 250 horses trained in that area. I mean, that's amazing. And gee whiz, if
Alan Smith would have been there.
Alan Smith. And if I was born in the city, mate, I'd have gladly slept in a tent down at Jack's house. No, probably wouldn't have, but I'd live close by. So
Cass would have made you a bed inside, mate.
Yeah. Jack would have told a few fibs.
Jack. Anyway, Rock, we've got to close.
Yep.
But remember, viewers, and I'm going to set you one more challenge. I've set you one challenge earlier on in the show, but I reckon what we'd like to do next week, we just our viewers, the views are getting up there on all codes.
Yep.
What we're going to do, we want to get racing, pacing, chasing right out there. So we're going to set a bit of a challenge next week, but in the meantime, I need you to find a prize. All right. So
I'll give one of the $50.
No. I need something bigger than that. Don't throw away. That's a drive of the week. All right, I want something different. Okay.
I'll give away one of the $50 vouchers.
No. I want something different.
And Aaron will tip in 100 cash. So there's 150 if we get 20 shares this week.
Who's it going to? No, I'm setting the challenge. Listen, all right. You need a view. No, you need a like and share.
Yep.
All 3 shows next week. Not this week because we've only got the 2. No chasing this week.
Yep.
But that's the challenge. So next week we need everyone, and you can't view and like 2 of the 3 to qualify for the prize. You've got to view and like the 3 shows. See how many we get.
150.
No, it'll be bigger than that. It's your task for next week. You've got till next Wednesday night. Find a decent prize, and if you don't, I'll raise your stakes because I want to see it out there, and I want to crack 10,000 views 1 week before Christmas on Racing, Pacing, Chasing, and we need your help, the viewers, to do that. Thanks, guys. See you this time next week.
See you next week.